Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Vexian here, and today I'll be breaking down the best attackers in Operation Crystal Guard for you guys. But before I get in the video, I want to set a little bit of a like goal. Can we hit 50 likes on this video? I'd appreciate that. I'm getting back on uploading the grind of things, and it really motivates me to upload. We're going to be uploading 3 times a week, hopefully, starting now. And every Tuesday, it's going to be a tier list. And one more thing before we get into the tier list. What is your favorite attacker in the game? Currently, mine is Twitch. I like your gun. I like your gadget. I think she's fun to use. But I want to know what your guys' current favorite attacker is. And with that being said, let's hop in the video. All right, starting off, we have Ying. Ying is going to be in A tier with the recent flash changes. This makes her an incredibly strong attacker. She has an LMG and a shotgun. She has 3 candelas that produce 4 flashbangs apiece. And because of the new flash propagation system being very broken in the attacker's favor, highly recommend bringing Ying. Really good unless they have a warden. There's no direct counter to her besides ADSs, which in their current iteration and Romai's magnet discs in their current iteration aren't really solid counters to Ying. Ying, A tier every day of the week. Blackbeard, F tier. Not very good. Guns lackluster at best, and overall, a mediocre gadget. Not the best in his current form, and I don't think he will be moving up anytime soon. Dokkaebi. Dokkaebi is teacher, great for gathering information and denying the realm. However, her guns are lackluster, and she's more of a team-playing operator, and in solo queue, can't really recommend her that much because there are better solo queue operators that do her job. C tier, Dokkaebi. Thatcher is S tier. The ability to deny gadgets and wall denial is crucial, and the ability to deny information from defenders is crucial. For this reason, he is S tier. He also has a decent weapon kit. So overall, S tier, pretty good. Really can't complain. You're just gonna need him. Capitao. Capitao is an underrated A tier operator. This is because he aids in plants. He can push defenders out of positions, and he can make it nearly impossible to rotate if played correctly. His fire bolts deal damage and push defenders out of positions, and his smoke helps cover plants and helps cover lines of sight for crosses on the attacker's side. Overall, a really good with a decent weapon as well. He has actually an LMG that does hit pretty hard. So definitely an A tier operator. Honestly, kind of slept on. Wish more people would play Cappy. Next up is Buck. Buck is one of the kings of toss destruction, and for that reason, he is A tier. Overall, solidly a very good attacker. Really great if you're playing vertical. Really great if you're playing horizontal and just trying to make lines of sight. For that reason, he's A tier. Highly recommend bringing him in a lot of lineups, especially when it comes to certain maps. He's a very good map-specific pick, and he excels on those certain maps. Next up is Montang. He's F tier, provides nothing for the team, and is arguably one of the worst attackers in the game. The reason for this is he really just kind of sucks. I don't know what to tell you. He's not great. Don't bring him. He's a detriment to your team. Bring anyone else, please. Glass, I kind of missed him. Glass is in D tier in his current form, even though I think he can be a good pocket pick on some maps. The maps that he was very good on, that being Coastline and Bank respectively, have received a lot of nerfs and a lot of changes. Well, I guess more changes that are nerfs to him, blocking lines of sight from very far angles that made it very possible to excel and kind of exploit Glaz at the position he was good at, which was kind of cutting off rotates and getting long picks. That's no longer going to be happening with Glaz, so he drops from C tier to D tier for my last list. Overall, not bad. Pretty good. Overall, not great. Not terrible, but not good. Like, he's bad. But he's not Montang. So there's that. Next up is Maverick. Maverick is an S tier, probably the current best soft destruction operator in the game. Has some of the best weapons, has grenades. Honestly, just bring Maverick. You're going to need him to get hatches. You're going to need him to soften a wall. And he's got 2 nades and a solid assault rifle being the M4. Bring him. Overall, pretty good. Have to highly recommend him. Next up is Nomad in A tier. There's a case for Nomad being an S tier, having 3 air jabs to block off rotations and flanks. She's incredibly strong with a decent assault rifle. Actually, 2 decent assault rifles. So, choose your poison, which one you want to use. But overall, pretty good. A tier, going to be brought in a lot of lineups, but I'm not going to say every single lineup, like most of the operators in S tier. For that reason, she's A tier, but there's a case to be made for S tier. Definitely bring her if you're not bringing her already. Next up is Twitch. Twitch in her current iteration, having 2 shock drones that jump, a default drone that just kind of zooms around, and having the best assault rifle, in my opinion, on attack, is going to land her solidly in S tier. This is going to be because she can deny electricity and electronic devices and get a lot of information. And with how you can use her drones now, you can put them in places you couldn't put before, which makes them a lot more safe and a lot more maneuverable and a lot more adaptable. And they're much larger variable on attack and for defenders to worry about. For that reason, S tier, also one of the most kick-ass guns in the game. Next up is Grid. Grid is B tier. Grid is arguably a worse Nomad, but is pretty good still. There's a lot of fun stuff you can do with Grid. She's a very fun operator with 2 smokes. She's really good at getting plants down. And if you want a fun little strategy, throw all 3 of her gridlock devices at the same time. It's going to make an exuberant amount of noise, and you can use that noise to cover the sound of you planting, which is a very fun strategy and a very unique strategy that I don't see a lot of people doing, but it is worth the, it's worth trying out. you know, you never know. Next up is Lion. Lion is A tier. I feel like he's very underrated. I feel like he's a better Dokubi. I don't think he's, you know, a Jackal, but I think he's a better Dokubi. He makes executes and plays very possible. He makes very difficult plays and, you know, very difficult situations. Pretty easy to win, actually. Clutches is very good with him. He's a very good clutch operator. And this is because he has a 50-round assault rifle. And he has a gadget that makes you stand still, forces you to stand still. And if you don't, you're going to get pinged and they're going to be, you know, like, hey, there's a guy over here. So for that reason, I think he is very solidly A tier. Recommend bringing him if you don't already. And if you want to experiment him, hey, try it out in an unranked or casual. There's a lot of fun stuff you can do with Lion. I think he's pretty balanced in his current form, and I'd like to see more people bringing him. Next up is Zoph. Zoph is A tier, still very good, very obnoxious, has 2 impacts and 2 disorientating grenades being concussions. And overall, still pretty good. Has an LMG that's pretty kick-ass, and honestly cannot complain. Bring this if you're a fragger. Bring this if you want to aid your team in soft destruction anyway, or even get information, because your concussions are proximity based. When you shoot them out of the launcher, it will give you an audio signal if anyone's there by it detonating. It also is really easy to push, so hey, you can cuss someone. Hey, push them with your 150-round LMG or your kick-ass assault rifle. You're good to go. A tier every day of the week. Next up is Thermite. Thermite is arguably one of the better. Next up is Thermite. Thermite is arguably one of the better hard breachers in the game, opening up a big hole, as he says. I'm not going to say the other works monetized, and I want to make some money off this video. But overall, pretty good. I can't complain. Really good weapon in his assault rifle. Honestly, a pretty fun playmaking operator too. If you run it in on a breach, it can be a little bit surprising. And I think for that reason, I'm putting him in S tier, mostly because of his utility and his weapon. But there's some fun things you can do with him. And I think that just elevates him a little bit more into that S tier position and justifies it a little bit more. Next up is Habana. Habana is easily one of the best hard breachers on this list. Probably better than Thermite. Maybe not as good as Maverick. Maybe equally as good as Maverick. She has a lackluster gun, in my opinion, even though it hits hard, is fun to use. The fact that it only has 20 bullets does make it a hard recommend for me. When you can have someone like Thermite or Maverick who's 30, respectively, and Maverick has nades. But she does have 3 flashes, and she's a very aggressive operator. And for that reason, she's S tier. She's good, gets a lot of hatches, can do a lot of damage to the wall, and you can't flex seal that up. So for that reason, S tier every day of the week. Next up is Ashe. Ashe moves down to C tier. Her recent nerfs make her not very fun. Zofia is a better Ashe. There's no reason to bring Ashe if you can bring a Zofia. Also, highly recommend bringing an Ianna or bringing a Finka. Both of those operators that I just mentioned have a Gon 6 and nades, meaning they can get 3 pieces, 3 pieces of bulletproof utility with them. Ashe can only get 2. And if you want soft destruction, just bring a Zoph instead. Also, if I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong about that. Never mind. I was thinking Ianna or Finka has breach charges, which gives the same amount of soft destruction as Ashe, and then 2 nades for bulletproof utility, which would just make them a better Ashe still, with better, more unique gadgets, respectively. Honestly, I'm bringing Finka more these days than Ashe, and I'm also bringing Ianna more than Ashe. So for that reason, she's C tier. There's still a place for her, but it's not as common as it used to be. Next up is Sledge. Sledge is arguably a better Buck, and for that reason, he's going to be an A tier. If Buck had his nades, he would also be an S, but because Sledge has nades, he's S. Even though Sledge lost his SMG 11, I still think it is a very viable candidate for S tier. I see a lot of people still using him, and for that reason, he's easily S. And yeah, with that being said, that's where he goes. Also, hey, by the way, we're 8 minutes in the video now. If you're liking this video, hey, can you do me a favor? Like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to be uploading a lot more every Tuesday. There's going to be a tier list going up on my channel. There's going to be a gameplay video every Thursday and a solo queue video every Saturday. So if you guys appreciate the content, hey, just like this video. It would help me out. It would motivate me to make more and get back on the grind. So thank you guys. Now, moving on, we have, where's it at? Fuse. Fuse is going to be going B tier. I'm going to get some flack for this, but I think Fuse in his current iteration is actually really, really good and really fun and really underrated. The ability to Fuse charge reinforced walls is kind of a, looked over ability. This allows you to, hey, listen, your jammers ain't cutting anymore, right? And if you can get, the kite off the wall or something, slap a Fuse on that boy. It'll go through the wall. It'll, get rid of utility. It will push out defenders, and with coordination with a good pinch or a good attack, this makes it very uncomfortable for defenders to sit in sight where they normally would. For that reason, it's going to be a B tier. I think Fuse is a slept-on operator, and I think you guys should try him out. Next up is Blitz. Blitz is D tier. He's only slightly better than Montang, but please don't bring Blitz. He's terrible. I'm not going to go into the details of it. Even with the new flash changes, I don't think he's a good operator. Next up is Finka. Finka is also B tier. I actually like Finka a lot. I think she's arguably very slept on. This is because, her whole Finka gadget, screwing up your recoil if you're very used to a pattern can be obnoxious, but if you actually learn how to integrate a Finka into a lineup, she's actually very strong. 2 frag grenades, and arguably one of the better assault rifles on attack, being the Spear 308, and having a Gon 6 to deal with more bulletproof. That's going to be a lot of opportunities to get kills, and you can res your downed teammates and give them extra health. And because the health is now permanently added instead of temporarily added, an easy recommend to integrate into a lot of lineups. Again, with any of the operators in B tier, these are operators that I personally feel underrated that you should try, but they're B tier for a reason. Even though I think Finka probably could go into A tier, I understand why I'm not putting her there, because there might be some pushback, and there are some legitimate criticisms to Finka being an A tier, but she's a solid B tier recommend for me. Next up, we have IQ. IQ is C tier? I just don't think IQ is that good. There's not a whole lot of reason to bring IQ with the ping 2.0 system, even though her gadget recently got a buff allowing you to ping gadgets through walls, which is essentially what ping 2.0 is, just through walls. I still am liking a lot more attackers better. I think, Flores does a better job of just clearing utility because, like, hey, you can just Flores drone, you can see it and clear it at the same time. Finka's, or my bad, IQ, you have to ping it and, like, oh, it's over there, and it's ha ha. I'm not vibing with it. I don't think you're vibing with it either. I think she's still a fun operator, and I do think there is a use for her, especially if you leave Valkyrie up. If Valkyrie does make it through the ban phase, then bring in IQ. I can understand that. I can respect that decision consciously, and I think there's a good time to bring IQ. But outside of that, don't really think she has a place on the team. All right, moving on. Moving on, we got Jackal. Jackal is S tier. His ability to clear roam game is like no one's business. He's a better Dokkaebi. He's a better Lion, and he's got better guns. He's got a PW 50 round assault rifle SMG type thing. I'm not really too sure what it is. It kicks ass. He's got a C70. That kicks ass. And he's got a secondary shotgun allowing him for rotates. He also has smokes to aid in the plant. Overall, an S tier operator. Very annoying to play against if you're a roamer. And if you're just on site, also annoying to play against. He just hits too hard, and he hits fast. For that reason, S tier every day of the week. Really solid. Next up, we have Knock. Knock is D tier. Lackluster, is boring to play. She is fun sometimes. The nades she has are useful, but I think that she does need to be immune to Kapkan traps and proximity to base devices to really warrant her being higher on the list. I think she's too mediocre as it currently stands. D tier. Amaru, C tier. Fun operator, good weapon, allows for a lot of interesting and fun use cases, and for that reason she is C. But I can't really put her any higher or lower. I do think she's still lackluster in a lot of departments, but having a secondary SMG 11 is really fun, and a G8 primary crutch is really fun. If you're a fragger and you want a frag heavy operator, this is your go-to. Callie. Callie is D tier. Honestly, Thatcher does Callie's job 10 times better, and in addition to that, Maverick does Callie's job to an extent, and Flores does Callie's job much better. She's just not very good. Please don't bring Callie. She's very lackluster and very boring in the current form, and I wish she gets changed in some meaningful and impactful way in the future. Ianna. Ianna's A tier. I think she is a better Finka. I think she's a much better Ashe. The ability to drone with her clones, fake with her clones. There's a lot of fun things you can do with her. She's got decent weapons, and she's got a Gon 6 and 2 nades, meaning that she is a menace when it comes to bulletproof utility. Highly recommend bringing this operator if you're not already. Definitely a good addition to your lineup. Ace. Ace falls from grace in A tier. Doesn't mean he's bad, but he's not as good as the other hard breachers, and I can confidently say that. With his gun being nerfed and his gadget being mediocre in its current form, it is A tier, still a solid recommend to bring. I would, however, think about integrating him in the lineup differently, where you would bring an Ace before, maybe bring a Thermite. And where you brought a Thermite before, maybe bring an Ace. There's some still very good use cases, of course. Oregon comes up to mind. Honestly, not bringing an Ace on Oregon is a troll. Outside of that, though, he is hard to recommend in certain use cases when I believe a Thermite, a Maverick, or a Habana are better. Still not bad. Still a recommend from me. Bring him if you want. He is swappable with Thermite, but not as good as Thermite. Next up is Zero. Zero is going into B tier. Zero is very underrated. Strauss6 recently made a video on Zero being underrated. I'll link that right here. I think it's actually a pretty good video. It does bring up a lot of good points. I think he is a good Twitch, a good alternative to Twitch, and a kind of good alternative to Flores. But I do think it is very hard to utilize well because you have to communicate with your team where your cameras are, and you have to, you know, kind of bank on the fact that your cameras don't get destroyed. And if you've ever deployed a Zero camera, that is loud as heck. So I don't recommend it in that aspect. However, it can be fun and really clutch to bring. He has a good assault rifle in his, you know, conical C3000, which is usually in the Splinter Cell games. And obviously, he does have his Zero launcher, which, you know, shoots the 5 drones. I have lasers. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's a good operator. But he's not C tier, but he's not A tier. I think Twitch is just a better version of him. Next up is Flores. Flores is an S tier. Having drones that explode that go bulletproof when you explode them is a very fun and interesting mechanic. There's still a lot of things that Flores can do. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for Flores in the meta coming up, and I really like Flores. I highly recommend you play Flores. Overall, I think he is kind of kick-ass. I think he's a lot of fun. And I think it's kind of cool that, you know, they use him to represent a minority, being LGBTQ, which is really cool. I really appreciate that. As part of that community myself, I like it. You know, I like that I can play someone that kind of, you know, represents me in some way or fashion. And in addition to that, he's just a really good operator. I really enjoy playing him for that reason. S tier every day of the week for me. Plays well, fun gadget, good weapons, cool lore, S tier. And hopefully, last but not least, I will check after this, but this is Osa. Osa is going to get a solid S tier from me as Shock's best friend and someone who plays a lot of video games and Siege with Shock. Man, let me tell you, I've seen what a master of Osa can do, and I don't want to play against it. I personally don't want to play against it. I would probably be demoralized and never play Siege again if the things that Shock did to the enemies he did to me. So for that reason, he's going to be, Osa's going to be S tier. She's very fun. She offers a lot of unique gameplay elements. She offers a lot of very annoying elements as well. But I think overall in her current iteration, she is an S tier operator. Probably will end up falling down to A or B, but as it currently stands, S tier. Let me make sure I'm not missing any attackers at all, because you know I've been doing this rapid fire, if you will. I don't believe I have. That's my tier list. So if you guys have made it this far through the video, which I doubt anyone has, comment bologna sandwich, because I'm about to make one of those while I edit this video and eat it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope to be making more tier lists for you guys in the future. And this is my attacking tier list for Crystal Guard. I hope this adds, you know, some value to you in some way. And with that being said, guys, it's been Vexian. And remember, every day above ground is a good day. Peace.